Hi all, I'm going to start another GRP bodywork video before I finish the other one. Now that might be a confusing statement because I'm not too sure which order these two jobs are going to be finished in, so I don't know which order these two videos are going to be published. So you might be watching this before the other one thinking, what the hell is he on about with the other one? I hope that makes sense. Also, sometimes you might realise that some of these videos lay around on my computer for a little while before I actually get around to editing. I think it was the video on the racing aspirations, seemed to get really quite good feedback and quite a lot of new subscribers, so thank you very much for that. If you're one of the new subscribers, welcome along. I hope this all makes sense to you, what I'm doing. This process is going to be a kind of a combination of 3D printing and GRP and a bit of carbon. Now, big thing here, I am not an expert. Most of this is pretty new to me, and some of it I'm just parroting stuff I've got off of other YouTube channels. If you really want to get into this, there's some really good YouTube channels. The supplier I've used for parts is called Easy Composites. They actually have a YouTube and on their website some really quite good how-to videos. So if you... Oh, you're going to fall over there. So if you want to know how to do it properly, other than someone who can't even put a camera up straight. So if you want to know how to do it properly with some proper professional advice, go see those. If you want to stick around and kind of learn to do it as I do, then let's see how it goes. Okay, so I'm not going to go through 3D printing because either if you've got a 3D printer, you know what you're doing. If not, you're not. So what I've done is I've 3D printed these. Call them. It's like a bonnet bulgy sort of thing, but in miniature. And they'll actually be on the inside. They will poke through the God, there's dust everywhere on there. They will poke through the body here and cover the shock and hopefully be of some sort of aerodynamic shape. So that's first sand done. I was using my new detail sander, and surprisingly enough, 80 grit seemed to work quite well. The finer grit didn't really seem to kind of get into the plastic. There's a tiny little hole there, so it's right where the top of the 3D printer was. And you know, now I can see a couple more marks, so I will do a bit more sanding. Is that tiny hole. I was pointing the camera the wrong way too. But yeah, so that's got rid of most of the kind of you know, layer marks, whatever you call them, from the 3D print. Just done the first coat of that stuff, and the video says you wait until it's gone tacky, which it definitely is, before you give it another coat. The following day, an hour, I think buck is the correct term for this, with 2 layers on, is all nice and hard. So I rub that down nice and smooth, and then I have to give it a couple of layers of a gloss coat. Whew. So many things. There's the whole next day. I rub down the 2 coats with the primer, and then I've given it 2 coats of this one, and it's looking like that. Quite shiny. So I'm going to leave that to harden overnight, and then I need to check the video again. I can't remember if I use a super fine grit like a 1200 grit on it and then a polish, or I just go straight to polish. Best check that so I don't make another cock up. So we're now next day. The gloss finish stuff dried, and for reasons I'm not too sure, you then have to rub the gloss down with 1200 grit. I did it wet and dry, and as you can see now it's started to dry. You can clearly see some bits, some high points, so I will rub those down, and then I've got 2 stages of polishing, and then when that's done, before I can turn this into a mould, the mould release you have to put on, they say, at least 4 to 6 times, with 1/4 of an hour between each one. So you might notice I'm not in my normal place of the garage. I thought this is best done indoors, then I can give that a layer, I can get on with a little bit of work, I can give that a layer, I can do a little bit of work. I always thought, whenever I've had bought GRP stuff, I've always thought, crikey, it's quite pricey for the cost of the materials. I take everything back. I totally see where the price comes from. It is such a long process. I've just spent a load of time with those 2 polishes. I'm purposely not, this bit here, because it's going to be going through the bodywork, so I'm purposely leaving that a bit rough, thinking that that will help when it goes in. It will sort of key into the underside of the body. So now it's time to start layering that stuff on. I tell you what, I hope this is worth it. I've had a few new subscribers join the channel since particularly the video on the Racing Aspirations website. So welcome all, thank you, welcome aboard and all that sort of thing. It's great to hear comments and that. Please, if you have any questions about what's going on. It was also really great to see a commercial company has subscribed. It might be a slight hint just behind me there. They're actually a company I've used for years and years and years as a customer and always been quite impressed by. On a completely separate note, of course, if anybody feels like sponsoring anything at all, like you know, say switch gear or any of those handy sort of things that a really good supplier might be able to help out with, you know where I am. That's 2 coats of gel coat on there now, and the advice is that that needs to be really hard. There's like a joining compound or something, which is the first time you then start actually putting fiberglass on, but it says this needs to be totally and utterly dry. So I'm going to leave that overnight. You can see why this, I'm saying you need to be so patient with this. Anyway, so I'm going to leave that overnight, and then tomorrow morning, hopefully, the coats, the next coat, and then the normal kind of fiberglass layers, all done in not too long a succession. So hopefully tomorrow I might have a mould. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Gel coat's been left to set overnight, and next it's 2 layers of a light. This is 100 weave GRP, and you use this Mould coupling. Not too sure why. Leave that to nearly set, and then it's 4 layers of a heavy GRP with a normal resin. So I'll get to it. So we're next day. Hopefully it's not as hardened. So it's the big keep your fingers crossed part now, where I take that out and see if I've got a usable mould or yet another complete mess and a waste of time. I'm definitely developing a kind of a love-hate relationship with this GRP thing. resorting to using a chisel now. I don't think my chisels have ever been used for chiseling wood, but I am getting there. I think I'm actually starting to pull the actual, what's the name, apart, so let's hope I don't need to use that again. I suppose the 3D printing's the easy bit. Right, okay. Let's carry on doing it like this. So it's certainly not coming out with a satisfying crack like on the video. I think before I forget, if you use my videos as a way of learning off of someone else's mistakes, is if you're 3D printing, I think I printed the mould far, like the wall thickness, far thicker than it really needed to be. I think if I'd have just done this sort of about 1 mil thick, I could almost rip this out, or even warm it up a bit and rip it out. Where I made it quite thick, it's making it much harder work. Option is definitely not on the video, but it does seem to be working, so I'm kind of softening the 3D print and peeling it out. Well, it's official. I'm not going to be able to reuse that. So what I've got looks a bit patchy, but this stuff here is that stuff I painted on the buck. So somehow I need to get that out because it seems to be stuck fast. The bits I can see seem to be smooth. I'm not sure why that was, because I gave it 6 layers of releasing agent, but obviously even with that, this bonded to that surface better. Okay, I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle this, because if I use anything, the obvious thing to pick that out with is a Stanley blade or something, but then obviously that's going to damage the surface, which sort of ruins the whole point of doing what I'm doing here. Places I've been experimenting around the side and even putting a blade underneath, it's just not coming off, so I've obviously done something wrong with the release layer or whatever. So yet more lessons learned. Well, not fully learned really, because I don't know quite what I've done wrong here. Throw this away. I've cut it in half just to see if there's any lessons to be learned. I'm actually quite pleased with how well the layers have gone together. I thought, because I had so much trouble getting the 450 to sort of go on there, I thought there might be gaps, but it's actually not too bad. I don't think there's anything I can learn about that layer and why it won't come off, but I'll have a closer look. So I spoke to Easy Composites this morning, who said that the releasing agent I used should be fine, but I should not have wiped down with a dry cloth first. I thought you were supposed to do that to get rid of any residue, but they also suggested that to use 6 layers of that one and then a layer of that one. So here we are, nice and polished up, and then I'm going to do those release agents and have another go. So big fingers crossed. Be bout and braces. I've done 10 layers of the releasing agent and 2 layers of the wax. So please let it come out properly this time. Right, so it should come off this easily. There's a pill ply on there. Right. Let's try with my, what I'm now going to call my demolding tool. Now the middle bit I've got to be a lot more careful of, that didn't really matter with my demolding tool if it's scratched, because that's going to be underneath the kind of bonnet hood thing. What do you call them? So warming the 3D print up has helped quite a lot. You can see it's come out much better than it did before, but there's still some bits stuck. Hopefully I can get those off without too much trouble. So it's not quite a eureka moment, but certainly in a better position than I was before. It's lunchtime now, bye! After a bit of messing around, I got it all out. There was still some of that coating left. Most came out with sort of fingernails, but a few bits I had to use a screwdriver, which has obviously resulted in scratches. So I'm now just rubbing this down, starting with 400, then go 800, 1200, 2000, and then polish to get rid of these, and I think it will be okay. I'm back at my desk with these now. I've given them these little black bits here where there were slight flaws that I filled. And you can see I've given that a really good polish. And I've also got the 3D print one, which as you can see isn't too pretty. But this is more, well, they're both experiment, but this is more of an experiment. So I'm going to use this release agent again. But this time, instead of wiping on with a cloth, I'm going to brush it on, and I'm going to give it extra layers as well. And I'm going to give it a final layer of that. So then hopefully it will release. Okay, so I had a slight change of plan. I've done the liquid stuff brushed on 6 layers on that one. This one I've done 6 layers plus 2 layers of the wax. So see which releases best. It's all part of the learning, isn't it? So nicely outside, I've got my layer for each one of carbon and 2 layers for each one of 280, which I think should make it stiff enough. I've also got some odd little bits and bobs there that I'll kind of bridge in just to give it a little bit more thickness. So let's get started. Wow, this is a definite difference. So see how it's all beaded up like, I don't know, like water on a screen when you put Rain-X on. It didn't do that before. I reckon I must have misunderstood, and you need to brush on rather than wipe on that stuff. It's done it on both of them. Anyway, fingers crossed, that's good news. I'll wait for that to get just a little bit tacky. Is in my very limited experience, when it's tacky and you put the first lot of weave in, it just sticks a little bit, so it's kind of easier to get in rather than when it's completely fresh, especially in the curves. You push in one side and the other side comes out. So anyway, the trouble is I don't know how long it's going to take, so I'm going to put a timer on. We're 30 minutes later. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Perhaps here. It's gone quite tacky, so I'm going to mix up the rest of the resin and put that on. Both of them coated up. Now for the DIY vacuum bagging. So you put a layer of this stuff on they call peel ply, and that soaks up any excess. Then we put it all in our very specialist, cheap off eBay vacuum bag, and we use our highly technical vacuum maker device and try and suckle the air out. So the good news is with this, it seems to pull quite a good vacuum, and the whole point is it's pulling it down to force the resin into the fiberglass and carbon, and also push it onto the mould. The bad news is that this bag even when I put this on as quickly as possible, has a leak. So I guess maybe buying the cheapest bags off of eBay wasn't a good plan. So what I've done, this is a little time later, this resin's probably fairly set now, but basically I just left the vacuum on here for half an hour. I was having a cup of coffee, of course, just as it kept the vacuum there. I'm going to leave these in here for a little while now and let that cure. According to the supplier's website, this particular resin takes 2 to 3 hours to go to the tack stage, which I would have thought means overnight to harden. But that's what the residue in the pot is solid. Now it's been pretty warm outside, and from my very limited experience with this stuff, it does seem to be very temperature dependent. So being the impatient person I am, instead of waiting for this overnight to demold these, I'm going to do it now. Could be disaster, couldn't it? So we'll get them out of my slightly leaky bag. So this stuff tears off. That is what it says on the can. So this is the black one that had less releasing agent. Actually, now I can tell that is not. So yeah, I'm going to have to leave these overnight. So the next morning, got a nice fresh cup of coffee. Let's go see what we've got. Now it all seems to be hard now, so let's see if I can get the thing out. I'm not sure if these cracking. Oh! I got excited a bit earlier then, didn't I? Hey!
You're not trying to work it
Oh!
out. Whoa! What made that noise?
Actually came out this time. Of course, because this is fiberglass in fiberglass, it's actually difficult to tell which is mould and which is... How do I know the difference then? There it comes. It's a lot easier, isn't it? So the finish isn't perfect. There is certainly some... I think that might be because of the resin was definitely starting to gel before I did the vacuum bag bit, which wouldn't have helped. I'm fairly pleased with that. I get a little bit of polish on that and see how it comes up. A couple of minutes of polishing and I'm quite pleased with that. It's come up quite well, I think. Okay, so that just about wraps up this video, except for 2 things I have to do. Because by law, if you ever make anything out of carbon fibre, you have to weigh it and you have to test how strong it is. Now I know this isn't fully carbon fibre, but we still have to do this. Grand sum of 57. So now for a hugely scientific, how strong is it check. The answer is it would withstand 13.5 stone, without breaking or cracking. So if you got this far through the video, I assume that means you must have liked it. So please hit the like button, and if you're not already, please subscribe. As you probably got from the beginning, I've been doing sort of 2 GRPE things in parallel. Hopefully the other one will be ready soon, because I'm doing like the nose cone bit. But let's just say, if you think I made some mistakes and errors in this video, you ain't seen nothing yet. See you later, bye.